Love and Happiness's mission is to help 1 million couples. Dr. Vandy and Barbara Colter are committed to reaching this goal. Love and Happiness has helped thousands over the years through their couples retreats hosted in various cities. Their popular Central Florida TV show, Love and Happiness, has been syndicated in several states. Their best-selling book, Love and Happiness: The Secrets to Creating Winning Relationships, has helped singles and couples alike learn how to build better relationships. It's no surprise that the Colters are in high demand. Relationship subject matter experts featured on talk shows and national radio looking for real relationship talk. The Colters' virtual retreats, social media platforms, Facebook live streams, and relationship masterclasses have put their mission to help 1 million couples in their sights. Dr. Vandy Colter, Ph.D., a certified counselor with presidential status in the American Association of Christian Counselors, has a virtual counseling practice that serves CEOs, pastors, entrepreneurs, individuals, and couples who want their relationship to go from bad to good or good to great. Dr. Vandy has been featured on Fox, CBS, NBC, their national affiliates, and various media for the impact from his virtual counseling as a response to the relational health crisis during the COVID pandemic. Dr. Barbara Colter, real estate investor and serial entrepreneur, complements and contributes to what makes Love and Happiness the perfect blend of real talk and fun. Our motto is no one gets their happily ever after. They create their happily ever after. After the hurt, after the disappointment, you can still be happy. And Love and Happiness is just what you need to have.
All right. It's getting ready to be that kind of video.
No, like it was just up, like whoa.
We'll get more viewers.
No, happy Saturday. Hi everyone.
Hey.
Hello.
Love and Happiness.
Yes.
Real relationship talk.
Yeah, and we are excited because we get to, I guess, conclude maybe or just pick up. This will be the third
and final part of this.
Yes, and we were discussing
real talk. So we're doing two topics. I changed the title at the last minute just to shorten things up. So I didn't want you reading the title that they're like, that's not the title I'm watching. Yeah, help us out and get some viewers.
No, not that way. Okay, yeah.
So we're talking about two things from what we initially was speaking about, which was, three things that everyone wants but don't ask, right? So the two things that we're talking about today is respect the grind and communication, which is honey, let's talk.
Yes, honey, let's talk.
All right, so we're gonna get right to it because we want to have some real talk. So I first want to let my wife go with let's talk and talk about why and her three things everyone wants communication to talk or communicate in the way that they really want to be heard. So let's talk about it. Talk.
So honey, let's talk. A lot of women, they really want, there you go. They really want to have a better communication with their partner. I mean, I hear all the time over the past decade or two, since we've been in ministry, and just hearing women with the women retreats and ministry and whatnot. And their biggest thing is their mate is not talking. They will either shut down and will say nothing, and you have to pry stuff out of them like a little, just like, what's going on? Nothing. So men, we want you guys to talk and communicate to us to let us know how we can make things better. If you're going through something psychologically, it's some stress on your job or whatever you're dealing with personally, don't shut down and not communicate to your wife or your girlfriend, your boo, because then she's going to think it's her. Right. And it's not her. It is you. So, honey, let's talk. Why don't men communicate?
Right. So as long as we can talk about two sides of that.
Okay.
All right. So one of the reasons that I found that men will shut down is if they feel they can't win for losing, they'll just say, why bother?
Okay.
And so a lot of times the shutdown is the end result of I tried to tell you. And when I do, you're quenching my spirit. You're stepping over me. You're not allowing me to say it in a way that I need to be heard. So the other part of the frustration for a man is our words are often misinterpreted as aggressive because men are naturally more aggressive, generally speaking, than women. And we get frustrated because when we're trying to talk about, say, the cup, matter of fact, let's do it different. Let's say we're trying to talk about the water in the cup.
Okay.
Because it's wrapped in a tone that may be considered argumentative or that may be considered tough, then what happens is the woman starts to focus on the tone and then react to it. And then he's like, he can't get to the water in the cup. And then it gets really, really frustrating, really kind of weird. So I think a lot of times the only way you can address that is both people have to understand the differences that are in the way they communicate. Okay. So, you know, like I communicate with my hands. I remember one time we were somewhere, he was like, you know, Vandy, don't use your hands so much. And I was like, I communicate with my hands.
Some people are kinetic and they use their hands.
Yeah.
But it's the way you use your hands. Like I use my hands also, but I'm like, you know, it's different postures you can use.
Okay, but you made a perfect opportunity for this point. Okay. How I use my hands.
It's how you use your hands.
There you go. And the minute you try to control that narrative of how I should or shouldn't, is now you're trying to put me in your space. Okay. You follow what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times in a relationship, what happens is, you know, without realizing it, you know, the way they communicate may be different than the other person's, and they try to, because it's not the way they do it, it must be wrong. Okay. It's not as right. And as a result, if it's a male who gets frustrated, he literally just feels like I can't win for losing, so why bother? If you all, you know, agree with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. What? Y'all just hit the chat and let us know what you think about that.
Sweetheart, there's a whole different group of men who they are a passive aggressive and they don't even try to communicate. They automatically shut down. They just start when stress is on the job or the money's tight or whatever. They don't even try to give the woman a chance to see if she's going to just like misconstrue the conversation. They automatically begin shutting down because that's their go-to. It could be something in their childhood. It could be something in their past, but they just don't know how to communicate. So they just begin to shut down and withdraw. So how do you get a man to talk when he's passive aggressive and his normal go-to is to shut down and say nothing? Okay.
So the way that you get a man who is in that space, because it's the cool thing about a conversation is there's no one size fits all. And keep moving your hands so you don't rock the screen. There's no one side that fits all. Okay. So if we have that particular garment where the person is actually like, you know, they don't communicate that kind of, you know, they internalize, they don't communicate. The way that you reach that kind of man is only through understanding. If I understand your methodology is, I am going to naturally shut down and keep it to myself and, you know, suppress it. And, you know, and maybe they're not argumentative. Maybe they just don't like conflict. Maybe they whatever their reason, you have to first understand that this is who they are. And they probably was that way when you met them. If they was not that way when you met them, that means you and circumstances have probably helped. Yeah. Better you say it than me.
Yeah, because some women do. So trust me, I grew up with a whole group of what we call pioneer women in my family. We're very strong-minded. We're very opinionated. We just, you know, we take the bull by the horns and we just do it. That's what my great grandmother, everybody was just leaders. Women were the leaders in the family. And oftentimes when you have a woman who's a leader, who's an alpha, and when she runs into a man who's another alpha or who's a beta, don't communicate, that could be a challenge, but you just have to know yourself and understand that, you know, there's a place and time for everything. And just, you don't want to castrate your man because of your leadership strength. I remember when we first got together, we're both leaders, we're both alphas, but I had to submit myself under yours. It's not that, you know, I'm weak. No.
Well, let's expand it because our dynamic was different in that you came in already predetermining to submit.
I did.
So I did not have to beat you into submission and arguing. You know what I'm saying? So because you had a heart to submit and I had a heart to understand you, it was an easier navigating. And the places that we failed to connect properly in communication was more situational. So based on this situation, my core values, your core values, all that stuff.
Right.
But in the context of, hey, if my man doesn't talk, how can I get him to talk? You sit down with him and just say, I really want to hear your heart better. I own it different. Shape it around. I am sorry that I don't do as good hearing you as I should, because your real mission is to be heard. And if you're interested in being right instead of received, then you're going to be always just trying to point the finger. You know, if you open up more, but if you want to be received, you're going to say, how can I communicate in a way that's more healthy? How can I communicate in a way that's absolutely going to give you kind of more of what you need from me? So that way you can start to get a better kind of, he'll come out if he feels it's safe, if he's introverted or suppressive. Okay. But when you brought it up, when you was talking about the different types of people, in terms of communicating, I wanted to talk about the man who is very, very good with his words. Because there's a lot of men who are very good with their words. They have no problem saying what's on their heart. The problem is they're speaking on an FM frequency and the woman is hearing on an AM. And you can have 98.9 FM playing hip hop and 98.9 AM playing gospel, and it's just two different frequencies. And the frustration for a man in that regard is really based in, you know what, I am trying my best, and it's frustrating when you are communicating and you are, you know, you're listening to your own words. I don't know if you've ever done this, and your words are like, man, that's good. You high-fiving yourself while you're saying it like this. Oh, she's gonna definitely get this. Oh, absolutely. And then at the end, she doesn't get it. Then it's frustrating for him because he's feeling like I'm banging my head against the wall.
And may I say something? Oftentimes, it's not that the woman does not get it. And this is the truth for me. It's the way it's communicated. And sometimes, because men are aggressive by nature, sometimes they're just, you know, some men, and it's the way they communicate. Because oftentimes, I remember 15, 20 years ago, you could be saying something and it was absolutely the truth, but I did not like the way you was conveying the message. And so on purpose, I was like stuck on, like, what's that word? Stuck on, you know what I'm talking about, stuck on, you know, whatever. And on purpose, I would go the opposite. Not because what you were saying was wrong.
You're right. But remember what I said is men's tone is different. Right. So when a man, because he has no, it's real talk. But just because there will be times, okay, since we're gonna get real. So now I'm gonna make now we pulling it all out. Hold on. Whoa. Now we're gonna pull it all right. Because this is gonna substantiate my point. Mic drop, she won't say nothing except you right. Okay, let's hear it. So when I said that because a man communicates a certain way, that a woman can hear it and then internalize that a different way. We had a situation recently where, because you went there, so I'm going there because now I'm a mic drop it. And so I said something to her. You're gonna know in a second. It's not hard. So she I said something to her. 20 minutes later, she's clapping at me, talking about, I didn't like the way you said it. I said, well, guess what? I happen to have that part on Zoom recording. I'm going to get the clip and I want you to tell me what did I say that was inappropriately harsh or lacked any integrity. And I couldn't wait to get to that video because I knew I did not say anything the way she was clapping at me like, you coming at me all. I was like, really though. So I went and got that video, texted it to you, and said, and I didn't, you know, ruffle her feathers by saying, and now what? I just said, please show me because I want to learn.
I was busted it.
Oh no.
And you're right.
Let me finish. I said, show me how I may have failed to communicate this because you were telling me something that I know I did not do. And she listened and she had to go, What was your comment? Oh, snap.
My bad. I thought I heard it differently. I thought you said, and he didn't. So,
and that is a truth that I understand that it is not the way it's always said. It's how the person's filters decide to receive it. And when you have a man or a woman whose filter, look at a filter. If you have a filter and it gets clogged up, it doesn't filter properly. And if there's clog in there because of maybe their own issues, maybe they don't like certain things, maybe past discussions, maybe frustrations, but it's clogging the filter. When you speak to that person, They're going to be all like, man, I just said it this way. But the person's filter put all that gunk and grime through it when it came through their ear. And then all of a sudden they're like,
I feel like giving you an offering because you're preaching right now. You just, I want to drop some offering into that.
I receive.
You just did it. That's true. I'm busted. Yes.
I'll sit up here.
I heard it wrong.
I'll sit up here and talk. I'm getting ready to do the
Anywho,
dude side.
what's the next?
I'm gonna go to the dude side.
But that happens every day. I'm glad we were on a Zoom and we were like, looking at it and I'm like, okay, wow, snap. Why can I hear it differently? Because like you said, I was filtering it through some other stuff.
You know what I would love to know and put in the chat, you all, is what is the frustration in your relationship? If it's communication, if it's just intimacy, if it is trust, finance,
finances is upside down.
Let us know what's your frustration in the relationship that you can just say, you know what, I need to know what you're frustrated. We need to know what frustrates you. If you just type, communication, intimacy,
you don't go out, you cheat.
Yeah, infidelity, cheat, money, let us know, because that's gonna also help us pivot in how we are kind of sharing information. All right. So I want to talk about from the dude perspective, because the topic is honey, let's talk, right? And respect the grind. Because the woman, your thing is what every woman wants, you're saying is to be able to communicate. Right. But we just unpacked how there could be communication, but it may not be. Come on, get us some viewers.
No, just nerves.
Well, you read. So, all right. So, I want to talk about the dude side.
Let's get the dude side.
Because from a male perspective, respect the grind. Now, this is a real thing. It's so real. I'm wondering if I should even unpack it right now, because it's going to open up like 7 different doors of conversation, because it's about how when purpose is pulling, and I have so many times, even in my counseling practice, where purpose is really the problem, that somebody's work ethic or their focus is actually creating the break in intimacy and how they connect, and it's making it very hard for them to be able to find each other.
Now, can I ask you a question? And so purpose is the problem, basically. But is it that the relationship, because the purpose is pulling that man or that woman, probably the man, I'm in this situation, can he remember to come up for air? At some point in time, your purpose can pull you and you grind 15, 16 hours a day. You need to at least at some point come up for air. Just come up for air so she can be the wind beneath your wings. So she can just.
So then if we're gonna go there, if we're gonna go there,
of what? I'm doing it for the family.
If we're gonna go there, I still don't feel led to go there right this minute, because I feel like it's gonna need more time. I'm gonna feel like the Baptist preacher. I wish I had time. So what I'm gonna do is say we'll put a pin in that. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little more about the communication, because I'm realizing that this won't be a fair conversation. It won't be a fair conversation because there's too many layers to how someone's focus starts to affect the relationship. We agreed that we would stop, in a timely fashion, just to kind of, and I think we got some good stuff, but let's just stay on the communication, and then next week we can get on the purpose.
We can talk about the communication.
So so with regards to the let's talk and the need to communicate. Now, we already talked about if he's not speaking. We already talked about if he is speaking. Now let's talk about how they should speak. Okay. Because they should speak in a way that I believe has to be mindful more about getting my message into your heart than getting my message off my chest.
Absolutely. And that was part of what we dealt with many, many years ago, because the situation I even spoke over earlier, you came up with, whether would I rather be right or receive? You were absolutely dead right many times. I remember we had a big blowout before church years ago, and it was like, dude, you're absolutely right.
I'm like, which blowout? I'm like, you talking about big?
I'm like, oh, you're absolutely right. I still remember in our bedroom, upstairs.
I don't know.
We was in Jersey.
Like you saying, like there was one. I recall.
But my point is, It was like, you were absolutely right. The message you gave was absolutely right, but I couldn't receive you because of the way you were saying it. And so my point is,
but was it all the way I was saying it?
Yes,
now that you heard that, now that you heard that video, now that you heard that Zoom clip, hold on, don't.
And you said you came up with
the internet is forever.
You came up
hold
with,
on. The
would
internet,
you rather be right?
I'm trying to help you. The internet is forever.
Yes.
You just started a conversation earlier trying to say that it was nothing but the way I said it. And I said, I'm getting ready to mic drop and make her eat her words. So now, in hindsight, all right, if I show you that your behavior has been a little rocky based on what you might be thinking, and then if I go back 2 or 10 or 17 years and say, is it now possible, if I'm an attorney, and I'll say now, based on the evidence, is it now possible that on some of those occasions, we were dealing with the same thing? No. Now, if you say no, wait, I want to help you. If you say no, people are going to look at you like, are you really going to say that it is absolutely impossible?
Was it stenographer?
This is my world.
And they doing like this and no. And they can report no.
Now for some of y'all who said, how in the world would he have a video?
Because we were on a Zoom. We were on a Zoom.
But my point is I kept it.
On a Zoom.
and
Zooms are
it's like this is the if it don't fit, you must have quit chick.
But wait, think about this.
We know we did it.
This. You came up, and I think you put it in one of your books. Would you rather be right or the receive? You came up with that.
I can't. No. It's in the book, but I came up with it because I was listening to you speak to someone else one day.
Oh, right.
And how you was getting right again, to the O. So I'm listening to how you are communicating to someone, and I'm sitting there saying to myself while you're upstairs, I'm like, we were dating. That's how long this goes. She wasn't even wearing the rock yet. I was like, do you want to be right or receive? Because I'm listening to that conversation.
Why you remember?
No, because you want to do all this applause. You want to be clapping. Thank you, Danielle. So I'm saying, I'm listening, and I'm like hearing that, and I'm psychoanalyzing that conversation because I'm dating you, and I'm trying to decide how far we gonna go. And I'm saying I want to say yes to all of it. So those of you who are dating, listen to everything. Say yes to everything. Don't say yes to the part you like. Say yes to the weird part too, because you're gonna have to love unconditionally. Mm-hmm. So I'm listening, and I'm like, ooh, the way she's clapping is loud. She's absolutely right, but I know she's not being received. So when she came down on the back end and sat down, I said, let me ask you a question. Do you want to be right or received? And she's like, why? And I began to explain it. Yeah. And from that day forward, yes, it made it to the book. Yeah. And from that day forward, yes, it made it to our retreats and some of the courses and stuff. But the reality is, it is a truism I can help people in their communication and counseling with, because more people are so focused on being right.
That's true.
They just want to win at all costs. Just like she's trying to say, 20 years ago, there was no way if we argued that you didn't necessarily say it in a nice way, and I still heard it wrong.
When we were having the intense moment of fellowships, oftentimes you are so in your own head trying to get your message across.
That's not my fault.
Wait a second. But sometimes you do say things, and you do hit, but people do hit below the belt.
Hold on, I can get with sometimes
communication and all that kind of stuff.
You was trying to imply all the time,
sir.
Did she not just say never? And I said, don't say that the internet is forever. You have to take some responsibility. Say it is possible that some of those times I was in my ear filter hearing it wrong.
It is possible. Some of the times we had the intense moment of fellowship that you and I both were like not filtering correctly.
Yes. Notice how she can't take responsibility by herself. It's you and I both. And fine. I know there'll be times that my frustration would have a shorter fuse of my participation in a conversation. Because I was a rapper. So there we go. I can put them together.
Okay, so you would tell a woman.
Those was bars.
So you would tell a woman who's in a relationship, and her spouse, he's just shutting down. He's not communicating about anything. It's like, instead of confronting the bills, he'll rather just put him under the rug. And instead of confronting that they don't go out, he'll just, hang out with us. I don't know. You just tell that woman that she should really just, not appease her, but just try to find a different strategy in reaching him, not just talking at him, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought if the person's goal is to be received, then they first have to recognize that their current method isn't the proper method to be received, because they already know. That was my revelation point in the when it hit home for us. Yeah. When we're now in an intense moment of fellowship,
right?
And I know I'm right. My rhetoric was like I said, like a MC bars where you just like mic drop. I'm saying stuff to you and I'm like, oh yeah, you definitely gonna see my point. Oh my God, that's so good. Where did that come from? And then after I finished all of that, you was still standing there saying nah. And I was like,
it was called pride. It was called ego. It was called, I didn't like you were saying it.
But check this out. The thing is, for me as the communicator, the responsibility is on me to now pivot and adjust. So eventually I sat back and said, I know I'm right, but why am I not being received? So then I can see the pride and I can see all the walls and roadblocks. So now if I'm driving a car and I see the potholes, I have the ability to steer around.
Right.
So now I started communicating to you in many situations differently because I knew in order for me to get this over her wall, I need to say it a different way.
That's right.
I need to pull her into the space instead of making her feel like I'm coming at her outside of the space. So that's where I'm saying that people who are trying to communicate have to take the time to step back and really just kind of take the information and try to walk back through the conversations, because those times was real frustrating for me because I'm saying, I know I said great stuff. This was the stuff you were supposed to say, baby, you are right. And you would just be like, totally like, nope. And I would be like, so frustrated, like, what is it going to take to reach her? Then instead of me getting into my feelings of frustration, I began to just meditate on solutions based on how I knew you. And I was like, okay, it's pride. It's this, it's that. I'm making her feel like she has to say no. Otherwise, yes means I'm less in this situation. Right. So to empower you, I had to come up with ways to communicate to empower you so that I didn't strip you by you saying yes. You didn't feel you was giving something away on your part.
But that took a level of maturity for yourself to do that. A lot of men are not there where they can go, okay, or people in the relationship, because they, like you said, they just want to get their point across. They're passionate about whatever. And so they just want to get that out. Right. And so I think it's definitely going to take a level of maturity to take a step back to look at yourself.
It does. And understanding is the first step of that, because even if you just understand there's something that I'm not doing right as the person communicating. Because if you male or female communicate with someone and all of a sudden defenses come up, it doesn't make sense. It's like, why go to Italy where they don't speak English? We've been there. They don't care about American language.
No, they don't.
No, nothing's in English.
Rush up on your
This isn't Mexico. Mexico, they are very, very habla English, very friendly. No. So we get there. This isn't that kind of dynamic where the person thinks because I say it louder, they're gonna hear me.
Or it's right.
So if you say like, which way is the store? And they're like, and you're like, which way is the store? And they still like, really don't. So it's understanding that level, volume, arguing, anger is not going to make the information cross the wall.
Right.
It's understanding each person, everyone's so uniquely different. And because we're all uniquely different, you have to get to a space where you're like, you know what? I'm going to play chess and learn my mate, because my mate has many moves. They pivot through different feelings. And I just want to keep chasing and pursuit of their heart in such a way that I'm chasing their heart so I can understand them better. And it is a skill set, because I do it in counseling. I'll chase their heart, each person's heart. And by the time they finish, I'll say, let me tell you what I'm hearing. Tell me if I'm wrong. Bang. And after I tell you, they're like, yes. And I wish this one get it. I wish. So I am a heart chaser. I get that. But anyone interested can chase the person they love's heart, because we do it on different levels every day. And if we can just understand, first I got to understand I'm not doing it right. And that's why I say it starts more with the understanding. I have to recognize my method is only going to produce more of the same frustration, right? And then after that, then I start to take what I know. Why is my mate? Now, in this case, it was pride. In someone else's case, it could be insecurity. In someone else's case, it could be resentment from past frustrations. And you've got to take what you know. And if you know it's past frustrations, you have to then communicate. I know in the past, I've made it hard for us. And you have to own that to help them say, I'm willing to stick my head out, hoping maybe this time is different. Because a lot of times they do the turtle and go in the shell because they're thinking, you know what, I can't win with you. So I'm tired. No, I only want to talk about it. So you have to first lay a foundation of understanding by taking responsibility. You know, I'm not going to say something you had a hard time doing 5 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, because that would be a pot shot and that wouldn't be fair. But I'm human.
I did take responsibility once you pulled out that Zoom. I was like, oh, snap.
What I'm talking about today in this Zoom, you would think on that day, there would have been a revelation that from this day forward, you would always say, now, is he saying it crazy or am I hearing it crazy? But in just a few weeks later, here we are live, and you just act as if it never happened.
Every situation is different.
Fair enough. Yeah. But at some point, let's take what we know and then grow. Let's take what we know and then grow.
Take what we know and grow.
Yeah, we do a topic on that. Let's take what we know and then grow. I like it. So we're done. We're good. If you're not following our socials, then please be sure to do that. And be sure to definitely connect to our website, loveandhappiness.tv, because we are putting together a virtual couples retreat again. The first one was awesome. Now we have another one called Love and Money. And it's amazing. So stay connected, and we can't wait to see you next Saturday at 11 a.m.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Now I just got to get you off the screen, y'all, because we done. Us is finished.